All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Phoenix Suns. This team is 62-14. They have a top 3 offense. They have a top 3 defense. And they should be the clear favorites. I feel like they are the clear favorites, but for some reason people aren't accepting it. They're not really talking about it. It genuinely makes no sense. This is and has been all season, regardless of who's been in, regardless of who's been out. This team has been the most complete and scary team of the entire season. So today we're talking Phoenix, and I thought yesterday's win on the road against the Golden State Warriors was very impressive. Obviously, Golden State is still without Steph Curry. Jordan Poole dropped, 38 points. You still have Clay, you still have Dre. I mean, they would still make the playoffs with their current roster. Have Steph Curry miss the entire season, but obviously they're not as elite. Golden State, I would say, now they're the 4th seed, but they're one of those teams in the Western Conference that I think a lot of people are just assuming if they were healthy and met the Suns in the playoffs, they would probably take down Phoenix. I don't really understand it. If anything, Phoenix has actually gotten better in the second half of the season. We have some statistics here that I think really just kind of bring home just how talented this team is. And shout out James Jones, shout out Monty Williams. They're doing a phenomenal job. But you go out, whether it was in the trade deadline, whether it was at the start of the season, you pick up guys like JaVale McGee, who's having a phenomenal season, Bismack Biyombo, Torrey Craig. There are just so many moving parts to this team that they're so intriguing because they have this almost perfect blend of veterans, guys like Chris Paul. You've got guys kind of in the middle, Devin Booker, and then you have your young players. So it's just a really interesting dynamic, and it's almost perfect, and it's pretty genius. So welcome back to the channel, man. Obviously, we're talking Phoenix Suns here today. If you enjoy it, hit the like button, hit that sub button. I post NBA content every day. Probably going to start posting Suns videos every single day just to kind of see what happens here in the next week or so. They're such a fun team to watch. Obviously, they're not fully healthy yet. Last night, you had JaVale McGee being out with an illness. Cam Johnson still hasn't made his way back. So Phoenix is only going to get better. But let's try and hit 50 likes on today's video. That would be absolutely awesome. I really appreciate all the love Phoenix Suns fans gave me on my last video yesterday talking about Phoenix as well. So we have stats pre-All-Star break and post-All-Star break, and I'm going to just kind of give you guys the gist here as far as statistics go. So there's only been 18 games post-All-Star break, so it's a little bit of a smaller sample size than the 58 before, but still, I still think it's relevant here. So taking a look at it, they've actually increased their field goal percentage by over 2%, which may not sound like a big deal, but they're currently shooting a team 51% from the field. That is scary elite. Scary elite. That's not even the craziest part, though. They've actually gotten their 3-point percentage up 3.5 ticks to almost, they're shooting 39.5% from downtown in the second half of the season. And I'm not saying Phoenix has ever been a bad 3-point shooting team, because pre-All-Star break they were shooting 36%, and it's not like that's bad. But it's crazy when you kind of factor in, Cam Johnson's been out. It's pretty crazy when you factor in that this team is just getting better. I wouldn't say, like I said, I wouldn't say Phoenix has a flaw with 3-point shooting, because last season we saw, especially in the playoffs, we saw that 3-point shooting, it didn't end up even really playing that huge of a role. I can't remember what Milwaukee shot, but I want to say it was 33% in the NBA Finals from downtown. So we're I think the NBA in total as a whole is kind of starting to transition away from all this rapid 3-point shooting that kind of the Golden State, prime Golden State kind of brought about the NBA. So I think we're kind of trending in a different direction, and we're getting a little bit more to that physicality aspect, but that doesn't really play a role in this video. That was just a quick little rant. But they're shooting almost 40%. So as a team, they are almost a 50-40-90, which is unbelievable. But that's just what makes Phoenix even more scary. And these are offensive stats. Their defense is what makes them, in my opinion, such a terrifying team. Is they're the number 2 ranked defense as far as rating goes. They have it all, dude. And they have it all. And we'll talk about it a little later on in the video. But they have it freaking all. Now you have a healthy Chris Paul back. It's unbelievable. But the stat that really kind of drove this home to me, that reminded me, you got a healthy Booker now, you got a healthy Chris Paul now, you have DeAndre Ayton out there, you have all these pieces out there. Well, pre-All-Star break, they scored 113.7 points per game, which is still impressive. Post All-Star break, they are scoring 120.2 points per game in the 18 games since the All-Star break. If you just wanted a little bit of a taste of just how deadly this basketball team is. Last night against Golden State, I won't touch on it too much because I don't want to focus too much on a game that's already happened, and this is more of a future video. But last night kind of proved to me a lot about Phoenix. So you're on the road and you're shorthanded. You're playing a little shorthanded team, I guess, as well. But it was such an ugly game as far as Phoenix goes. I mean, they had 14 turnovers. They only shot 41% from the field. They only had 25% from downtown. Like I said, you're missing some critical players. Guys like Devin Booker, ice cold. Devin Booker was ice cold last night, 5 of 21. But you still found a way to win the game. I mean, you still go out and find a way to win a basketball game. That just shows me a lot with Phoenix, especially with these teams that have been to the NBA Finals, these teams that are competing. Seeding doesn't even matter as much to them. It's more about just winning. But Phoenix having home field advantage for the entirety of the playoffs, I would say that's going to be a huge deal. Like, I would say that is 100% going to be a huge deal. There's something about Phoenix where they have this... It's almost like they're the favorites but underdogs, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a really weird, I can't think of the word. It's just a really weird dynamic where, like, I don't know if people don't want to accept that Phoenix is probably going to win the finals or if they just aren't convinced. I mean, this team is 31-6 on the entire season on the road. 31-6. On the road. They've lost 6 games on the freaking road. They've only lost 14 games in the entire season. They're about to win over 65 games this season. That is freakishly impressive. But I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, whatever outsiders think about the Phoenix Suns, Phoenix, the players, they like embrace it and enhance it. They use it as like a chip on the shoulder. They love kind of being like this underdog favorite, if that makes any type of sense. It's just a really cool dynamic that you're seeing over here in Phoenix right now. And I would say, like I said yesterday in my video yesterday, if I had to pick, I would definitely say Phoenix. Like, if I was putting a ton of money on this, I would 100% go with the Phoenix Suns. 100%, no questions asked. So that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit that sub button. Let's try and hit 50 likes on today's video. As always, hit that subscribe button if you want daily Suns content, daily NBA content, and I'll see you guys later.